So this is the table that we are going to be building together tonight. Hope you cannot see it. Please, can you guys drop a message in the chat section if you are seeing my screen, if you can see the table. All right, okay, good. Okay. So we're going to be building this HTML table. This table looks a bit like the one in the pre-recorded class, but it's a little bit it's a little bit more complex than that one. So we're going to learn a few more HTML tags that we did in that recorded class. Okay, so let's start with our VS Code. All right, okay, so you can see it. So already I've created an index.html file and a style.css file. But let's start with the boilerplate. So start with the doc type, and then the HTML tag. Inside that we have the head tag and the body tag. We don't need the footer tag. Okay. So inside the head tag, let's give it a title. I'll call it grocery items bill. And then right under that, I'm going to link the CSS file, the style.css. And that's all I will be, that's all the HTML tags for the head. I want to keep it very simple. So then I'll go to the body and then I will start with my table tag. Okay, but let's look at the table first. Let's look at the table and then let's talk about the tags, the HTML tags that we're going to be using to build this table. You will notice this title. This is called a caption. This one, I don't think this one was talked about in the pre-recorded class. So we are going to. This is a caption. This is a caption for this table. It's actually part of the table, and it's the caption. It's like the heading. So we are going to use the table tag first of all. We're going to use the table tag. Then we're going to use the caption tag. Then for the head section, we're going to use the T head tag. Then for the body section, we're going to use the T body tag. So that will cover from here all the way down to this place. Then this last row, we're going to place it inside our T foot tag. It's going to be our footer. Okay, so that's it. So these are just some of the HTML tags that we need to build this table. As we build it, we're going to see maybe like two or three more tags that we're going to use to build it. But let's just get right into it. Okay, so back to our VS Code. So like we said, we'll start with the table tag. And inside the table tag, the first tag we're going to write is the caption tag. And the caption is grocery items bill. That's the caption. Let me stretch this a little to make it easier. So then right under the caption, we'll start with the first row, and the first row is the header row. So I'll just Okay, so just before that, I'm going to divide the table into the header section, the body section, and the footer section. So I will say T head, then T body, and then the T foot. Okay. So it's inside this header section that we are going to have the first row, which is our header row. So TR is the tag for creating table rows. And then now I want to create the cells inside this row. And to do that, I will use TH. The first cell there is has the content item name, TH again, quantity. The last one is the price. So that's all for the header row. So now I'll go to the body, T body. I'll create the first row there, TR for table row. The first item there, the first cell is potatoes. So I'll use TD instead of TH this time. TD stands for table cell or table data. Potatoes. Next one is the quantity 51. Last one there is the price, $1. So at this point, I would like to see what I am doing, if I'm actually doing the right thing. So I'll just go live. I'll click on my live server. It was open before, so I'll close it and I'll go live. All right, so you can see hopefully you can see this. The the caption is displayed there, and the header row is also visible, is displayed. The one that contains the item name, the quantity, and the price. You notice it is bold. So that is the default for the header row. So the first row that we have entered is also displaying. So this shows that so far, I think that we are on the right track. So I would like to put this table in the center to make it to make it visible. So let me go to my styles, select the table, and just use margin auto to come to the center. So let me just go ahead and build the rest of the table, the rest of the rows. So the next row is the one for the knots. We'll go a little bit faster because of time. The next row is this one that contains this long description. And it says very long hawk. $3 again. The last row there is for carrots. The price is 2.99. Okay, so these are all the rows in the body section. So this last row, we're putting it in the footer section. This one has got just two cells. So let's look at what we have so far. And it appears to be correct. It appears to be right. But as we can see, it doesn't look anything like the table that we have, the table that we're trying to build. So the rest of the work, or most of the work that is left, will have to be the styling. So we'll have to go to our style.css to make it look as closely as possible to the one that we're trying to replicate. So I would like to start with some general styles, and let me start with the border. So we notice that the border around the table itself is thicker than the one inside, the one around the cells. So I'll give the table a different border. I'll give it 2 pixels. That's it. So now let me give the rest of the table border. I will just go ahead and select the TH and the TD. That is the cells in the header section and the cells in the body section. Border 1 pixel. Okay. So we can see the cells, or rather the border need to be collapsed. So we use border collapse and select collapse. But you notice that nothing happens when we say border collapse. So that's because we need to add the table. We need to select the table as well. That's good. So now we've selected the table, the table, the cells in the header section, as well as the cells in the rest of the table, both the cells in the body section and in the footer section. But our styling for the outside border of the table is lost. We've lost that styling, and that is because the styling, this particular styling of 1 pix solid black, this border styling is replacing this other styling here. Because here we target just a table, give it a border of 2 pix, but here we come and say, okay, it should go back to 1 pix, it shouldn't be 2 pix. So what we can do to solve that is we can just take this one from where it is and put it here. When we do that, everything is fine. Okay, so another thing I would like to quickly do is to reduce the, or assign a width to the table because it appears to be too wide. This, the one we are replicating, is not that wide. So let me just go ahead and give the table a width. And as you have been taught in class, it's preferred for you to use percentages instead of pixels for width. So I would say 30%. 30% appears to be fine. So work with that. We can always adjust it later. So work with 30%. All right. So one thing I would like to do at this time, also a general style, I would like to change the fonts, the default font to look something like this one. Not exactly like this one, but at least as close to it as possible. So to specify the fonts, we can either target either HTML, we can target HTML, or we can target the body. So let me use body, and I would say font family. I will just use one of the default fonts. I don't want to import fonts from Google Fonts or anywhere. I'll just use Arial because it looks similar to this one here. It's not the same thing, but it looks similar to this one here. Just to keep everything simple. Okay, then another thing you will notice that the padding is not right. So I'm going to give it a padding, but the padding is essentially not for the entire table, but for the cells within the table. So I'm going to just target the cells in the header section and the cells in the rest of the table, the body and the footer. I'm targeting that with TH and TD. Take note that I'm just taking liberties here. I'm using body, I'm using table directly because I'm just trying to keep it simple because this is the only table that we have here in this HTML file. So had it been you have more than one table, you will need to assign them specific either ID or class names. But since it's just one table, so that's why I'm just using this very general or generic um, names to target the HTML elements. So let's say padding of 16 pics or 10 pics. That appears to be fine. Okay, so at this point, I'll now like to start styling from the top. I've applied some general styling to the table. I'd like to start styling from the top. So I will target first of all the caption. Again, this is a very generic, very general way to target that element. If you have a more complex HTML file, you would not do this, but this will work for us. So I want to increase the font size to let's say 24 pixels, and there is some space between the caption and the table. So I can use margin button for that. Let's say 16 pixels. That appears to be fine. So next, I'll go down to um, the table head, the table head. So I want to style it. I want to give it that color. Okay, I have the color here. So I'll just come select. I can either use TH or TH. Anyone will work. So I'll come and say background color, that color that I just copied. That's fine. Then the font is not black. So I'll change the font to white. The font size appears to be fine. Okay, so then you notice the item name is left aligned, but in our table the one that we're building is center aligned by default. So I'll have to go and target it, the item name, to make it center aligned, to make it left aligned. So I'll come here and give it a class or ID. Let me call it item name. So I'll come here and target it to the class selector. Text align left. Okay, so one thing I would like to do now is to these colors. So these colors uses the nth what's it called again? The nth child. It uses the nth child, to just like it's the same thing as you saw in the pre-recorded class. So it's not just targeting these specific rows and giving them these colors. It uses the nth child property or selector, pseudo selector. So to do that, we can start from table if you like, then go to T body, specifying the body, and then the row. Then we say nth child. Then we say, is it even or odd? That should be even. So we'll give it a background color. Let me copy the color. Okay, the color is DC. Background color. That's fine. So if we change this one to odd, we start from the first one, and it applies that styling to all the odd numbers. So something else that is also different from our table is the total price. The total price is right. Okay, I just noticed something. So the um, in the footer section, this section that contains the total price, the total price cell spans two columns and not one like it is here. So we have to go back to HTML and make this total price to span two columns. That is to go from here to this place. So HTML, go down to total price, and then we say column span. We use this HTML tag, and then we say two. So that settles it. So we can also give it a class name, class of say total price. So we can style it now. So the styling is the alignment, text align, right, and the font weight is bold. That's fine. So another thing that is also different is that the items in the quantity and price columns, they are all center aligned, but in our own it's left aligned by default. So to do that, you the way I achieved it before, because of time, I will just show you how I did it. I will not do it for all the cells because of the time, because of our time. So the way I did it is I created a selector here, CSS selector. I called it center, and I say text align center. So that's center class name. I went and I applied it to all the affected cells. So they are the quantity cells, like this one, 51. So you just come and say class as it's a center. So it comes to the center. The next one, class center. So this is how I was able to do it. I don't know if there is a better way of doing it, a faster way, but this is how I was able to do it. Perhaps there's a faster way to do it. but it might be more complicated than this. So you do that for this and also for this one. So I think at this point I would like um, to stop because we have succeeded in recreating or replicating this table. It is not 100% the same thing, but it's very, very close. It's very, very close. So I will stop the recording and then you can ask your questions.